You know what? I love speaking. This is fun. I want people not just to be entertained today. I really want you to leave here with a true perspective, a true application of these principles I want to bring to you today. Because I get people to write these things down. Are you done yet? Pretty much done? It's a pretty easy list. It's an easy list to write down, but it's always also in the busyness of life a list that we often forget. We get so caught up on our next goal. We get so caught up on that, and I have no problem with that. But I want you to understand, to have a truth in your maximum potential, you need to understand the truth of your gratitude. You know, it was such a big thing for me to focus on what I did have instead of focusing on what I didn't have. Being born without arms and legs, my siblings have arms and legs, and no doctor could tell me why I was born this way. You know, I mean, I don't know what this is. This is supposed to be a foot, and I've got 2 toes, and I can do the peace sign. Peace, how you doing? And, you know, as I was growing up, I would look at my foot, and I'm like, you know, I'm looking at all these other kids at school, and, you know, they all had arms and legs, and I'm thinking, why me? Why do I have something that I've never seen before, something that I cannot change, something I cannot understand? Why me? It's hard to be thankful for what you have when you're going through a valley, when you're going through some suffering. And I'm not here today for me to say, hey, look at me, I have no arms, no legs, what are you complaining about? That's not the message at all. In fact, quite the contrary. I believe it's worse being in a broken home than having no arms or legs. I believe divorce would be much more difficult than having no limbs. I used to think as a child, well, if only I had arms and legs, then everything would be different. And I saw people with arms and legs, but disabled on the inside. Crippled with a thing called fear, a thing called loneliness, a thing called loss. Losing a loved one is far worse than no limbs. You would give up your limbs if some other things would change around you. You see, it's not about the actual physical things all the time. It's about our heart issue. And I want to talk about the limitations we put on ourselves at times. Yes, life will deal you a hand of cards. But it's not about, you've heard it before, it's not about what you are dealt with, it's how you deal with it. It's about having a perspective of still being thankful. What can you be thankful for today? To the valley. Don't just think, how am I going to get through this? What can I learn through this? Think about what you have right now, a blessing in disguise. How could this be good? No arms, no legs. How could any positive thing be brought from having a son without arms and legs? Think of my parents. You don't know what you can achieve until you try it. And you don't know exactly what valley can actually be a blessing in the end. My little foot here, I had no idea that I'd be able to type 43 words a minute on a normal computer. I had no idea that after 2 Starbucks coffees, I can up it up to 53 words a minute. My little foot allows me to walk around. My little foot helps me to drive my little BMW 7 Series down the front. My little foot helps me to swim. I've actually learned how to swim as a young kid at 6 years old. With my little foot, I can jump and swim and golf and fish and just do a lot of things. I mean, there was one day where I was in a public place and I'm on a billiard table, you know, the pool table, and I get up on there and I'm kicking these things down the table, and people coming up and crying, they're like, how do you do that? And people just look at me and they say, wow, I've got to be thankful. But I want you to know that I'm not someone who's got it all together as well. I'm not this person who's just always on a mountain. I want you to know that with the right positive value and attitude, and with my faith, I know it's my faith in God that's helped me with all of this as my foundation. But I want you to know that with the right perspective, from day to day, you can overcome those valleys, become a stronger person, and really achieve your full potential. If a man without arms and legs can be the hands and feet of love, then what can you be? The wonderful thing about Parker Seminars is about making a difference. And you have a goal, and it gets tiring. And I just want to try help you to sort of take a step back, have a look at you, have a look at your goal, and what does it take to get there. So under those three things, and we'll come back to those three things at the very end, but I would like you under those three things to put the word me, M-E, on the left side, and on that same line, on the right-hand side of that page, put the word goal, G-O-A-L. Are you with me? Then draw a line from me to goal and put a question mark between them. So it's a simple diagram. There you are, there's your goal. What's it going to take to get you there? For me in my life, you can say that I have accomplished quite a lot for a 28-year-old. I did not know that I'll be able to graduate from a double degree in accounting and financial planning at the age of 21. I didn't know that I'd be able to start my own non-profit at the age of, 2005, 2006, so 23, 24 years old. I was just with the Mexican president and his wife 10 days ago, Calderon there in Mexico City. I'm going to the World Economic Forum. I'll be addressing the World Economic Forum there in Zurich, Switzerland in the next couple of weeks. Then I'm going onward to the Middle East. And so I get around a lot for a guy without any shoes. And who could have imagined, what you can do if you just try. You don't know what you can achieve until you try it. And that's the first principle. I want you to write that down. To get from me to goal, you got to understand the first principle. You do not know until you try. These are very simple things. I am not a guy to talk about complicated things. For me, when I was in seminars, give me something simple, give me something applicable, give me something that's going to work. I'm not here to just go blah, 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 make you feel good and that's it. These principles you can apply in your life. You don't know what you can achieve until you try. And the second thing is when you fail, try again. Nick, how did you become so resilient? Well, my parents taught me it at a very, very young age. I'd want to try achieve something, and I couldn't do it. And then my mum said, try again. Then I'd cry, and I'd look at her. Please, mommy. She says, try again. I'm like, man, you're mean. It's like, how can I say, I'm going to tell Dad when he comes home, right? And I was like, it was something that she built up in me. And after me trying 5 times, if she didn't believe I could do it the next time, then she would help me. But she let me do that a couple times because guess what happened? Eventually there was something, I failed the first time, failed the second time, got it on the third time, and I'm like, bing! Something that I learned from a child. You can have the choice every day to give up or get up. You don't know what you can achieve until you try it. For instance, a man without arms and legs. In this position, it looks impossible to get back up. What are you going to do when you fall down? Get back up. If you don't try, you'll never get up. If I try 100 times to get back up and I fail 100 times, will I ever get up if I give up? No. It takes courage to try. Some people say, I can't afford to go on. I can't afford to try again. You got to flip that. I can't afford to give up. Because you don't know what's around the corner. I wanted to give up. At age 8, I told my mom I wanted to commit suicide. At age 10, I actually tried to drown myself in a bathtub. I turned over 3 times. Didn't think I'd have a good life. Never get a job. Never get an education. Never thought anyone would marry me. The simple things in life, I thought, they're not going to be offered to me. I'm just going to be a burden to my parents. So I tried to drown myself, and I could do it, but mentally I couldn't, because I actually went through a vision, a picture in my head of seeing my parents and my young brother at that time crying at my grave, asking why. I didn't want to leave them with that pain. So I decided to stay. Man, am I glad I stayed.